Oh, right here. Okay, let's go start it with Anna. Anna, can you please start right now? Let me turn the music down because I got some music right down in the background. Okay, good. Anna, go ahead.
Hi, how are you guys? My name's Anna Castano. I have been involved in social media for the past 5 years. I left New Jersey and went to school in New York City, and then ventured back here and I finished at Stockton University. So I'm heavily involved in social media and a little bit of, I graduated with a business degree. And now I am part of the team Rising by the Ashes. That's
Nice.
Michael.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mike APONTE. My background for the past 20 years has been in technology, engineering, network infrastructures. I've also have run a small technology business, working with small businesses, also police departments, municipalities for the past about 10 years, nonprofits, et cetera, managing and maintaining their networks. Good background as well in assisting with the campaign as far as automating calls and text messages. Those are some great tools out there, and working with the social media end, and look forward to seeing how we can assist.
My name is Jorge Restrepo. This is ID Pays en Español.
How's it going, everyone? My name is Hirsh Singh, born and raised South Jersey. I'm running for governor to take Phil Murphy and throw him out of power. I'm running to make sure that South Jersey has a voice because we've been forgotten for way too long in Trenton. I previously ran for governor in 2017 without actually knowing how the game worked, but being very genuine to try and stop the flow of communism. I came in third in 2017. Then in 2018, I ran for Congress down here in the 2nd Congressional District. I came in second out of 8 people that were running in the Republican primary, losing by about maybe 1,200, 1,500 votes. And, then I really I took another crack at statewide last year when we had a crazy vote by mail, nonsensical system. Supposedly I got 148,000 votes. They're saying I lost by 5,000 votes statewide. And, they didn't count 90,000 votes. So everyone knows that last year's election was weird, very weird. And I think that if they counted every vote, we would have came out on top, but it was a challenging year for everyone. But this year, now that I have been thoroughly educated from every aspect, from the local stuff all the way up to the top, I'm taking it to Phil Murphy again. And I think we have the name ID. We definitely have the right message. And we're here to make sure that New Jersey becomes great again. And we're going to do that by rooting out the corruption and throwing out these lifelong politicians that don't care about anyone but themselves. My whole campaign is powered by the people. And because of that, we're dedicated to making sure we take the conservative South and lead those mishaps of the political class from up north.
So far, so good. Okay, anybody have a question so far for Hertz? Anna, you have any question for her right so far?
not yet, but I'll get there.
Michael?
Sure. Yeah, I can start. When George mentioned this meeting, we're definitely passionate about South Jersey and New Jersey in whole, and seeing how we can, if there's something that we're able to bring to the table and assist with our team and our resources, we'd be glad to do so. Some areas where I think if they're not in place right now, that we may be able to assist with would be some automation techniques. But you may have a lot of these things in place, but we can assist with automating calls, text messages, getting the message out, or even door to door, those sort of things, either in South Jersey, North Jersey, or Central Jersey. It's really, we would need to get understanding on how we can help and making sure your name and your message is spread into high populated areas.
Yes. So I think one of the things we really would like is we need people for helping us on the door to door, because in the end, when I tell everyone, I don't say I'm running for governor, I say we're running for governor, and we need the people that actually are trying to help fix this state to join us. We definitely have a lot of the tech when it comes to automating text messages. We do we actually sent out 500,000 just the other day, and we're going to be sending out more. We're targeting not only traditional Republican voters, but we're also trying to hit unaffiliated people that are sick of the system to bring them out because they can vote in a Republican primary. I think that what we saw happen in 2020 with regarding Florida shows that a lot of the minority communities are waking up and they're realizing that, you know, the conservative values are better for their pockets, and it's also better for their jobs and livelihoods. So we never had too much of a campaign that was pushing that Republican rhetoric here in New Jersey. And if we're able to get into the communities and get them activated and excited, the way we're going to dominate Phil Murphy is, you know, with not only bringing out your traditional conservative voters, bring out your traditional Trump voters, but we also got to bring out the minorities and the youth. And we got to make sure that our message is getting to them, because that's how we're going to make sure we root out the corruption, which is currently lying to a lot of them. So if you guys have the ability to connect with people to help us pull them out to support us, right now we have roughly 800 volunteers in the state. And our goal is we need to have 15,000 so that come November, we have at least 3 people at every polling precinct in the state. And we're able to not only make sure that we count every single person who's coming in to vote to root out the concerns about election integrity, but also to be responsible for that neighborhood so that we're able to know how many votes are coming in from here, who's on board, who's not, and really make this grassroots to the core, because that's what I am. I'm not connected to any of the special interest or any of the top-down stuff. So your help and trying to get these volunteers in to support us so we can do door-to-door and those other aspects would be very, very much so appreciated.
Excellent.
I'm sorry.
Sounds
good. I teach Dr. Pedro Santana just log in. Dr. Pedro Santana, can you please introduce yourself? Just only 1 minute, because we already started this call a few minutes ago. Just to her. This is Dr. Pedro Santana. Go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Pedro Santana. I serve as the president and CEO for Deal With It Management. We're an education and management consulting firm based out of South Jersey. Career educator, worked in higher ed for 20 plus years, most recently at Stockton University in progressive roles as dean, assistant vice president, and taught in the classroom, community activist, and a leader here in the South Jersey community. Pleasure to meet you.
True pleasure to meet you, Dr. Santana. I don't think we've met in person before, but my name is Hirsh Singh, running for governor. And, you know, last year we did it pretty good with our turnout, but what we need is to continue to broaden and expand. My family has a rich history with Stockton University. In fact, my grandfather first taught there back in the 70s, Dr. Nanyahal Singh, and he taught international business and economics. And he was friends with the presidents of Stockton over the years, as both my parents actually spent time teaching at Stockton as well. So we have a strong kinship with making sure it becomes a success, that it continues to grow, and that its capabilities help drive the economy down here. So I think that we would continue to have a lot of mutual interests, and so it's a pleasure to meet you.
Likewise.
Okay. Okay. Dr. Pedro Santana, Hirsh was talking about the volunteer stuff. He said they have already 800 volunteers in New Jersey, and he need around 3,000 volunteers to make this happen. And let me ask you this one, Hirsh. The volunteers in that area, what counties do you have more volunteers?
I have much more volunteers in Monmouth County, Ocean County, much more in Middlesex and in higher population type of areas. Predominantly these people linked up to the campaign through social media, through Facebook. And we are going to start actually sponsoring and boosting so that we can get in front of more people. We are thinking about sending text messages to people so that they can volunteer and be responsible for their local neighborhoods. But the key really is 15,000. We need over 15,000 so that there are about 6,200 precincts in the state. And the way precincts are set up are that They're usually a certain number of people in an area for a precinct. So if we have like at least 3 volunteers per precinct, we have the ability to know what's happening on the ground there. We need to have a network that is actually capable of knowing what's going to happen so that we can react, as well as put resources where they may need to be.
I got a question. Okay, you know the state of New Jersey is 21 counties. 21 counties. Let me ask you this one: how many counties they probably endorse you right now, in the area? And
So last year, I'll start out with last year.
and this one, Alani County. You know this. You from here?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Tell me something that I don't know.
The entire convention process was rigged this year. They rigged it for Jack Ciattarelli. They didn't even have a convention in the majority of the counties in the state. There were no people that came together and voted. It was the county chair just selected and said that Ciattarelli is getting the endorsement. Now, the issue is that Ciattarelli is diametrically opposed with those that supported the America First agenda, those that supported President Trump. I mean, he was trashing the president since 2015, and he continued to do so. Now, those that have been in power in the state that still have long strands of connections, such as Chris Christie, they have gone against President Trump. And because of that, there's a huge interest since New Jersey is the first primary in the entire country. It's the first primary since November 2020. And what happens here is going to be an indicator and also a big media narrative as things guide to the other governor's race in Virginia, as well as the recall that was successful in California has caused a governor's race, which will happen in California as well. So if we want to make sure that going into 2022, we have candidates that are America First, meaning really breaking down these racial boundaries and saying that we're different and bringing everyone together, saying everyone needs to be treated equally, and we need to make sure that we have lower taxes and we have people that are able to have jobs and improve the status of living that we were having underneath the previous president. We need to win these primaries. So when the Democrats who are just going to attack Trump, I mean, Jack Ciattarelli is a never Trumper, and at the same time, he was being attacked by the Democrats as a Trump supporter. So they're going to make the election about Trump no matter what. The thing is, if you have someone who has been on the right side of all these issues, you're going to be defending and attacking back and not just saying, oh, I'm so sorry what he did. And that's what will happen if you have a weak type of individual as the candidate. And that's really the main reason why the establishment put a lot of pressure to make sure that I didn't get a single county endorsement. Last year, they tried putting that pressure, and we were able to win in Ocean County, Atlantic County, Cape May, and in Cumberland. And with just 4 counties, and in a very different election cycle where you had a lot of uninformed voters coming in, going right down the line, 17 counties against me, I got 148,000 votes, and my opponent got 153,000 votes. So with that 5,000 vote difference right there, we were able to get 88,000 votes where I was not endorsed last year, meaning off the line. So with that type of name ID and a lot of people feeling that I was wronged last year, I think we still have access to those voters, and we have substantially increased people's knowledge of me. We have the best social media by far, our ability on Facebook. We have, as I already told you, we've texted over 500,000 people in the last week, and our mail, we've mailed many hundreds of thousands of people, and it's landing all over the state today. We're getting reports online of people receiving our mail and getting very excited because it just shows the people the truth about the 2 candidates that are trying to run against me and how they have a history of being against President Trump. So that's really the scenario. I am off the line, and we need to take into consideration that this is going to be a low turnout year. It's a year after the presidential. Lowest turnout year. So it's based upon education, why people will come out and vote. And so I think because our media presence is able to connect to enough people, as long as we have a strong enough get out the vote operation, not only are we going to win, but the goal is to win by such a landslide that we have a mandate going into the general election where those that were trying to push the Never Trump message are weeded out.
Hirsch, now, give me 1 second, Mr. Talking about education. Let me ask you this one real quick before this started when the hard questions. What's about family values?
Yep. I mean, family values is the bedrock of our society, and making sure that, you know, kids have two parents at home, I think is very important for their own development and future potential. You know, there's just been unending amounts of studies that when you have a crime acts bill where you're putting people in jail for really, really nonsensical things, I think you're breaking up families. And that's really what sadly has happened in a lot of inner cities. They've put a lot of people in the African-American community and the Hispanic community in jail, and you're depriving kids of having a functioning home. So family values is the most important thing, but you need to get there through a process of not only educating the police, but also having laws which aren't preying on populations. And if you bring up education, the reason we have the highest property taxes in the country is because of a failed school funding formula. You know, it's really unfair. If you talk about school funding in places like Asbury Park, where per student per year is over $42,000 per student per year, they have less than 10% math proficiency and reading proficiency with $42,000+ per student per year. Meanwhile, over here in Margate, or is a great example, they get state aid of roughly $1,500 to $1,900. And you know, the money coming in from the federal government is going only to certain urban areas, but it's not going to the kids. It's not going to the teachers. It's going into union hands, and it's going into special interest that is, I think, depriving our kids of a better education and an opportunity to succeed. So the way we fix this is we really have to focus on a school funding formula where school choice is the key. And specifically, you should have the opportunity to send your kids to a local private school, parochial school, charter school, or if you're happy, the public school. And the money should follow where you decide to send your kids. Because if you're not happy of the indoctrination or the education that's being forced upon them, then they should be allowed to go where you want them to go, so that you have competition. And we're also able to make sure successful programs are better funded, and programs that are not as successful are able to quickly be, I guess you'd say, properly decompensated.
Wow, that's nice. Okay, I love that because I got my kids in the charity schools. Yeah.
Yep.
You got to educate a community because a lot of people don't know about these things.
Yep.
They don't know about this thing. I think Dr. Pedro Santana have a question, please. Dr.
Yes. No, again, a pleasure to meet you today and to hear about some of your position points and your platform for this cycle. I was wondering if you could share with us a little bit more about how you plan to reach those individuals that have said no more Trump, no more this, because of the fact that the whole country has been extremely polarized in recent years, and in an effort to get out individuals to perhaps increase the number of volunteers for your campaign initiative, how are you going to speak to those individuals that did not really enjoy the years under the previous administration?
So those individuals did enjoy a better standard of living, but there is a propaganda machine that was not challenged here in New Jersey. We have very similar demographics here as we do in Florida. In Florida, we saw massive increase of support amongst the minority community, the women, and the only place where President Trump lost support was with white men because of the guilt that was pushed onto them by CNN and MSNBC. So what's really interesting is there's actually a void where in a lot of more urban areas, or I would say more urban areas, we don't have any messaging in New Jersey, which is educating people on the history that shows racism more significant on the Democrat side. And I would be interested in providing that education so that they're able to break free from this bubble of propaganda where they're being taught that President Trump is a racist. And I think that the way I would handle that is basically showing a bill that was voted upon 5 days ago now, over in the US Senate, where there was a bill put forward by Ted Cruz about saying no federal funding to any university that discriminates against Asian Americans regarding admissions into higher level education. And what was really interesting was that 49 Republican senators voted, yes, we will not allow for discrimination against Asian Americans. And by Asian, they're talking about Chinese, Vietnamese, Japanese, Indian American, the whole whatever Asian, right? And 48 Democrat senators voted against stopping discrimination. And 3 senators did not vote. 1 Republican didn't vote, and 2 Democrats did not vote. So it needed 50 votes for it to pass, and it didn't pass. Exposing that type of information to the masses, showing that the Democrats were okay with discrimination against Asian Americans when everyone should be treated equally, and they need to have an equal opportunity for that education at a younger age, as well as opportunity at the higher level education. So we need to expose this so that people's fallacies, which have been kind of propagated by the propaganda machine, we need to challenge that and take our message into these areas where those communities live. At first, there may be some cognitive dissonance, but then we have to just keep showing the facts and keep that messaging going. Also, we need to use the methods that have historically worked so well by the recording labels and otherwise to permeate our communities with music and the culture that we like. They go in and they take over neighborhoods. They'll do street art. They'll like literally do things where everyone starts paying attention, and that's how they promote, like, you know, a new song, a new label, an artist, and that's how that pizzazz occurs. We want to use those tools for us. And actually, I've been connected with some people post-primary. We're going to be hitting hard in these urban areas like we've never seen before, and actually make them understand that the Republican Party was founded to stop slavery. The Republican Party was the one that really allowed women the right to vote. The Republican Party had the first African-American U.S. senator, had the first multiple African-American congressmen. And, to show them that they do not want to be on government assistance. They do not want to be on any type of Section 8 housing or otherwise. And really, we need to have the jobs and encourage people that there's a point and there's value in working. So those type of messages, which are internally, the families are very conservative and have these same values, but there hasn't been an assimilation process which allows them to cross the barrier. A lot of them are taught Democrat means democracy and Republican means racist. And that's what we have to kind of correct. And I want my messaging to help lead that.
Wow.
Thank you.
Dr. Pedro Santana, I was thinking about when the Hirsh was talking. I said, we are the first group of Latinos. They speak one-on-one. Michael, do you have any questions? Because I'm getting excited right now. Michael?
Sure. One question I'd like to ask and bring up is, do you currently have a plan in place to reach the public safety employees, such as law enforcement, fire, a plan in place to kind of get them and get their votes on your side?
So I fully support our law enforcement, because law and order is the only way we have the ability to have the American dream. Now, we also have to make sure that our law enforcement are properly assimilated with people from the communities that they're policing, so that they have the cultural sensitivities understood, and we're able to make sure we don't have the type of miscommunication and issues and abuse that we have seen, because it's a very challenging job in a lot of these areas, and a strong police force is the only way that the good citizens are able to have solace from those bad actors. So we always must support our law enforcement to the umpteenth degree, because they're dealing with a lot of ugly situations that most of us are oblivious to. But the challenge here is not making them the enemy, but making them kind of the fabric which is part of the community, because they're not looking to cause trouble either. This is their job, and they did it, they picked it, they want to do it well, they want to succeed. So we need to integrate further, and we need to have better communication chains so we don't have these type of issues that I would say it's ignorance. We're really combating ignorance here. And the more we're able to do that, the more successful we're going to be. But a lot of the violence and crime needs to be rooted out. And I think there are ways to do that economically, like basically the prohibition against marijuana is what allowed it to be available at every single public school in this whole state and country, because everyone who had access to it was considered cool. We got to stop making things that are bad cool, because we don't want our kids to go into those directions. And the way you do that is you legalize it in a manner that people can utilize it like alcohol, right? And that's the thing. We need to bring the communities together, but it shouldn't be corporate, because what they did over in California with marijuana has created the largest black market for marijuana in the entire world. So that model did not work. That was corporatism. We need it to be legal and available and low cost, low regulation, and allow our society. Our motto in New Jersey is liberty and prosperity. It is through liberty we attain prosperity, and that's what we need to encourage. But I would actually, Mr. Aponte, appreciate all the support in expanding my connectivity to our law enforcement. I mean, whatever I've done, but I need to do more. That's without a doubt.
Okay, good. Very good, very good. And listen, this is it changed a little bit, but we still, just searching more what you have in your head, man. I like to know more about you and all that kind of stuff.
I have another question.
Okay, go ahead. That's
Yes,
just
Dr. Santana.
Yeah, no, you brought up marijuana, and you've spoken a lot of. You also brought up the Asian community, and we know that here in the country there's been a lot of anti-Asian sentiment, and there's been attacks on the community, and the communities all over the country, especially here in Atlantic County, have had vigils, to raise awareness of us being a human family and to support each other as like good brothers and sisters. And at the same time, you had mentioned, some of the differences between the D's and the R's, and the number of votes, and all those things are still playing out at the present moment. My question to you really is, from a policy and legislation perspective. We have marijuana, and you said in California they have use somewhat of a corporate model. You're proposing a different kind of model for New Jersey. The challenge that exists, presently here in the state, but also across the country, has been that diverse communities have been severely disadvantaged by these laws, and they've been disproportionately jailed because of many of these laws. What do you have in terms of policy or legislative ideas to help ameliorate some of those concerns? Because many of these items are what has led to broken families, economic instability within specific segments of our community and population. Now, what ideas do you have to engage the future of the state and the future of the country?
Hirsh, I asked you like 3 or 4 questions in the same question.
Yeah, it's okay. It's related. It's all related.
It's all related.
I actually have put up on my website that I am all for. We need reform of our justice system here. Immense reform. I think that last year when I sued in all 21 counties because of the election fraud that I consider occurred last year, it was very apparent to me since then that a lot of the judges in this state are political. It's corrupted. The system is broken. It's fully broken. If you're connected in, you can be treated well. If they don't want it, they will not treat you well. And that's, I think, the reason why so many of our citizens are not getting a fair treatment in our justice system. We need to really remove rules that are destroying families, the laws that are destroying these families. And I talk about that a little bit on my website. I do go into the fact that we need to get rid of civil asset forfeiture, where a cop can basically come in and steal from you, and you'll never get it back, and they can do whatever they want with it. I think that really is a thing that most people don't really understand. That a lot of the minority community are kept in fear, whereas it should be a collaboration by the local community with the people, and with the people policing them. I think that civil justice reform is something that President Trump himself had passed, and Cory Booker tries to take credit for it. But we need a version of that here in New Jersey, where we're able to not allow for the divisions. I think that there are a lot of corrupt areas where you have individuals that make too much money with slumlord housing and keeping people in certain type of economic conditions. And I am diametrically opposed with that. So I would be very focused on trying to bring those communities into the middle class so that they're contributing to the economy. My main thing is the way we help out those individuals is by creating jobs, more manufacturing jobs. We need to lower the cost for businesses to create factories and manufacturing jobs. So we have, we don't just want to have call centers here. We need nice paying jobs, blue collar jobs, people that from anywhere you are in the economic or educational spectrum, you can find gainful employment here. And that's really, I think, the way, because the best way to keep someone out of trouble is by making them have the ability to afford a good life. There was a joke my friend said, how do we stop the violence in the Middle East? And the response was, give them a Walmart, right? And it's like, well, you're basically paying lower price than almost the value of the product you're getting. And when you feel like you're getting a good deal and you're happy, you're not looking for conflict and struggle and strife. So I think that a lot of the violence and what we're seeing pushing these individuals toward, the drug world where they can make money and all of that is because of the system that we have set up. And there are people, highly connected people, that make a lot of money by preying on our communities in that manner. And we need to just basically cut it off at the source by creating a legal structure in the state where it's not beneficial for them. They're better off actually getting a job and having a nice life than they are for doing anything criminal. And so that's why I reiterate, my entry into politics was more in the Ron Paul fashion. In 2007, I was a part of his Leadership Institute training. The people I got trained with ran Rand Paul's U.S. Senate campaign over in Kentucky. And so I actually went that route. And, I volunteered for Chris Christie in 2009. At that time, he was saying all the right things. So, the difference is that if you have, in the end, a Democrat that has a leash around your neck, I don't think you're able to really go after their power centers, which are like the projects, the inner cities, where they have control over these populations in America, because those people live off government assistance and they fear them into acting in certain manners. We got to get our education to them, our messaging to them, saying that wouldn't it be better if your kids weren't stuck in failing schools? Wouldn't it be better if you were able to make this much more money? You don't have to sit. Men don't like sitting around, and that's what they're kind of forced to do. And then what do they have to turn to but alcohol and drugs?
Okay. Listen, for me, I don't like to add my video more than an hour. I need to wrap this one up. I need to wrap this one up.
I have to run too.
I want to ask you, Dr. Pedro Santana. I have a small question, one question only. Michael, only one question, and also that question in 1 minute included something from him, and I will say the last part. Hirsh will give you a word of wisdom and also a messenger. How can you reach the Latino community? Pedro Santana, come on, let's go. 1 minute.
So I have to ask a question or answer a question?
One minute,
Okay.
real quick.
So at this point in time, you're well on your way. You've learned a few things along your way on how to reach the communities that you're targeting. What other things do you have to say that would differentiate you from the other individuals in this space? Why should someone vote for you and support you? And what ideas do you have for the South Jersey economy that needs a total reboot?
Yeah. Okay. So, why me? I've been a consistent fighter, and I'm not part of the swamp. I don't have anyone in the establishment pushing me. Both of my competitors that are out there and are decently known didn't vote for Trump in 2016, and I would say Trump is a very good litmus test because there was a lot of propaganda flying around, and if you were tricked by the propaganda, you're more than welcome to be a Republican. You're more than welcome to join us, but to lead in an environment which is going to be very challenging with more and more propaganda coming at us, we need someone who has the capability to handle what the media will throw at them and continue forward and not have, you have to have a will of steel. And I don't think that our opponents have anything but a leash around their neck. So I think that if you want a fighter who has been underneath the gun and has no problem performing or saying what needs to be said, which most people are scared to say, I think the things that are very obvious to us, but they never say it. I think that's one reason. Second, if you go to my Facebook page, it's my cell phone number there. You call me, I pick up. If I miss a call, I call back. I'm accessible. I have my staff. I tell my staff what needs to be done. So there's no miscommunication. There's nothing get lost in translation. And so in general, I tell people, I'm not running for governor. We are running for governor. We're going to do this together. From your aspect of, I think your last part of the question was, how are we going to accomplish what needs to be done? I mean, in the end, it's great. It's the people. We need the people to get on board to understand that we have an opportunity here to have a whole system shock. I am for the idea of adding a bridge to our ferry system in Cape May. The Lewis Cape May Delaware Bridge, whatever we want to eventually call it, would on the other side, I would want to really get funding for federal highway to connect on the other side all the way to DC. There's a Route 50 there, which is a strip of land that if they put a highway on, you will have a parallel between DC and New York, which goes through South Jersey. Now, what that will do is not only decongest Route 95 in a massive way, it'll increase the traffic into our area, into our region, and give us a huge economic upswing. Not only allow Atlantic City to really become its own city the way New York and Philadelphia is, but we would be able to really bring in a lot more industry. I would want a larger port, the way we have one in Camden and Newark, and I would like it in our South Jersey area here so that we would be able to then be another nexus for bringing in goods. Because right now between the two ports, we bring in almost 80% of the goods to the East Coast of America, right? And that's why New Jersey is such a powerhouse. I want to further expand upon that. I want deep sea ports so we could have cruise ships leaving from Atlantic City. I want to not only be a destination, but I also want industry. I want manufacturing, and I want it down here in the South. The problem is the North Jersey politicians want us just to be their summer break, their summer home, their weekend getaway. And we have to fight for ourselves to say, we're not just your floor mat. We can stand on our own. They take over $1 billion out of Atlantic City every year and use it for their pet projects up north. With me, I would bring that money into South Jersey and help develop our area so that when our kids graduate from school, they stay. They don't just leave. So that's what I think I will deliver for South Jersey. And I think that it should excite people, not only that are Republican, but also those that are unaffiliated and those that are Democrat in name, because most of the Democrats do not agree with this far left-wing agenda, which is very similar to the countries that they left, that they're escaping, the communism, the socialism. We need to protect opportunity, and that's how we're going to do it.
Okay, Michael, one question quickly, and Hirsh, a little bit slow.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead, Michael.
I don't have any further questions, but I just wanted to take the opportunity to say I appreciate you taking your time today to share your vision and your views, and I love to fully support you and assist in any way possible.
Well,
Means the world. Thank you very much.
okay.
You're welcome.
We want to excuse Ana Castaño because he got a problem with connection, and next time we want to invite you again for the next meeting after the primaries, the June.
Yep.
You pass the primaries,
Perfect.
and we want to do this one good. Okay. I need you to give me a word of wisdom and invite everybody to vote for you over here in Alani County, especially the Latino community and your community. Invite everybody to vote for you on June 8th, because it's primaries. You got to be
Yep.
in primaries. If you don't pass primaries,
Everything's going to go down the tubes for our state if we don't win.
You
The
understand?
stakes could not be higher. The stakes could not be higher. We
You
went
can
from a
start right
state.
now. Go, shoot.
We went from a state that was 6 Democrats and 6 Republicans in Congress, where we were balanced, into a state where we have 10 Democrats in Congress and 2 Republicans, and those 2 were only there because President Trump's popularity. We're in a dangerous situation where we could either go the way of California and have almost one-party rule like we do in Trenton fully, or we have to push back now. This state has the capability and has elected Republican governors for 2 terms for over 40 years. Okay, and Democrats have not gotten more than 1 term. We have the demographics, we have the messaging, we know what needs to be done, but I need your help. The Latino community is an intrinsic part of this state. And, the Hispanic community, we need to all come together because this is one of the beautiful things about where I went to high school, Egg Harbor Township. You had a population of people that were Hispanic, that were Asian, that were, we had, white, we had African American, we had everyone there. So growing up, I was able to talk to people from all backgrounds. What I realized in most places in the state, they don't know how to do that. They're kind of in their own little home bubbles. So the advantage we have is we know how to work with each other. If we come together and work and we bring that American team of all of us from all communities on the same team, nothing can stop us. So I would appreciate you looking at me on my website, hirshsingh.com. Check me out on Facebook at also Hirsh Singh. Anything you see, you send a question, we try and answer. Give me a call if you'd like to get on board. We're in this together. Let's make magic.
Very good. Okay. It's a very nice. Thank you very much for getting this meeting. It's unbelievable. I love to know more about you. I'm quite sure Dr. Pedro Santana, Michael, and everybody that will listen to this broadcast, to this Zoom meeting, they will be excited about you running, you candidate. I like to finish with 2 slogans. Okay, I like to finish every single meeting with 2 slogans. The first slogan is, if you are not part of the solution, you are part of the problem. If you are not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And my second slogan is building our future together. Building our future together. We have to support the candidates that touch us, not the candidates that somebody make us to touch them. You understand? Yeah. Somebody that really care about our community. With that one, I want to say thank you so much. And everybody, come on, let's go and say bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. I will catch you later.
Have a great. Bye-bye.
Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you.